Right, we're moving on to the side here now. Just done the water pump. Forgot to take a photo or video it, but basically the same as any XU or any other engine Peugeot really. Ring of bolts around the outside, gasket in behind. I normally put a bit of sealant, just really thin coat as well. The last thing you want is that to leak when you put the whole engine together, because you've literally got to strip the whole cam belt lot apart again to change it. So that's that one there bolted up. I'll get the two idlers and the tensioner bolted on here now. Right, just fitting the lower cam belt drive pulley now. It's important to note when you're doing this that you make sure you've got your inner keyway in as well as that one, because although it looks like it doesn't do very much, it's actually what drives that collar there, and that collar is what drives your oil pump chain in the bottom end. So if you forget to put that key in, you aren't going to get a lot of oil pressure when you first start up. Not funny really, so make sure you drop that one in. Then you drop your second one in the outside slot, and then slide on your pulley, which in this case isn't the standard one because it's going back to a slightly different aux belt setup. Right, got the water pump, two idler and tensioner, and the engine mount on there now. Just want to put the pump bracket on now, and then I can see about building an injection pump for it. Right, just bolting up the flywheel now. I normally torque this up as well. I obviously lock tight all the bolts. You can normally get away just putting your Allen key through to lock that off, because it's not actually that tight, they've got to go. Right, the flywheel's all torqued on now, so it's time to put the clutch on. When you're fitting your clutch, basically you've got your friction plate and your pressure plate, and it's important that before you tighten the pressure plate down, you make sure your friction plate is aligned, because it can kind of move around. Obviously when you want to put your gearbox on, if it isn't exactly central, then your input shaft off your gearbox won't go through, and it's just an absolute farce to get the gearbox on, stroke impossible. So some clutch kits will actually come with like a little plastic alignment tool, or you can do what I did, and I've just have this handy kicking around in my workshop. It's basically an actual input shaft off a gearbox, which I literally just angle grinded off. If you use that, then you know 100% then that your gearbox is going to line straight up and make your life a lot easier in the long run. As you can see, you've got the friction plate on there then with that shaft I said, and that guarantees you that it's exactly lined up. This is actually a paddle clutch, but it's the same concept applies for a standard one. Okay, got the clutch all bolted up there now. Obviously that's all you can do for that for a minute until the gearbox goes on pretty much. Right, just for anyone that's interested, we're in the middle of doing the pump at the moment. This is pretty much how my pumps start. Empty shell, bare casting. So I'm basically going to build this one up now. I'm having a bit of a problem trying to find a decent pump. Haven't actually been able to find one sadly, so I've basically got this one which is pretty well worn, but that'll do for now, it'll work, and obviously I'll have to change it at some point, but it'll hopefully get it running for now anyway. It's basically the 4 pins that hold your camera holders into the timing cage. They touch on the outside of the casting, and over time they wear indents, and when the indents get so deep, the trouble is it's fine for stock because that's your advanced curve like that, but as soon as you open the pumps up with all the select modifications and stuff, you gain more timing, but the trouble is the bloody pins get stuck in the wear marks in the out of the housing, and it doesn't actually, you can do all you like to the bloody timing piston etc, and it won't actually time up anymore, and it's just worn right out basically. But never mind, we'll find another one. Just the top to go there, and that'll be complete then. Bit of a nightmare. I think there's bits out of a total of, well, yeah, 5 donor, well 4 really, but there was actually a few bits out of a 5th, so 5 donor pumps all into one, which is a bit of a nightmare. I'm still not totally happy because this one's a bit wore, but shit happens and we'll fix it at a later date.
Right, here we go. It's my first time using this new camera, so apologies for any fuck up with the filming. Now, what's that? I got a thing on the screen here, it says like camera with a line through it. I assume that means I can't take photos.
Yeah, that's because I've got it in HD, it doesn't let you take stills.
Right, now I've worked that fuck up out, I'll start this video again. Right, we're starting to take the engine out of this beast. Wow.
This is no beast.
This, yeah, you're right there. This is no beast. I mean, fuck me, we're on a Lucas, boys.
The downpipe snapped off.
Oh, yes.
The fuel tank's leaking. The rear brake caliper's locked on. What else has gone wrong? The battery's fucked.
Batteries. Oh, the heater matrix.
Is gone.
Front end off.
ideal. Coolant out, etc. Chris is looks like the track end's coming off or something. Fuck knows, I'm not getting involved with that job. Whoops, I forgot to video, but I just pulled the engine out. Couldn't find the winch, so done it with a strap. Oh well. Ideal. I didn't really need to record it anyway. I think this is like the 5th time I took the engine out. I can't remember. So yeah, get that pressure washed out now. Clean it up a bit. Make it easier putting it back together. Paint over a few rusty bits, and that would be ideal, eh? Get on! Got the engine out yesterday, so that's out now. I think I'm going to rip the dash out today and take the heater matrix out, because that went a while ago, so that needs doing. Bit of a fast of a job in a Peugeot. You've got to basically take the entire dash out, and to do that you've got to take all kinds of bits and pieces off. So I'm going to make a start on that and see how we get on. Just in the middle of getting the dash out now. Got all the cluster out, steering wheel, centre console bits, some of the dash mounts. Just got the bolts in the engine bay, a few other bits in here, and it should pull out then. Right, pulled the dash out, the joys. Bit of a mess really. I think I might have a wiring clear up while I'm back here. Ideal really. Should car's a little bit shed-eye, but you know, giving me some access to do the heater matrix now. To be honest with you, in a stock car I don't know what all the fuss is about, because it's actually the most straightforward thing ever, taking the dash out. The only complication is when you've got hundreds of your own wires that don't have plugs on them, stroke don't have appropriate length that you can just pull the dash back, because everything on the standard setup you just unplug it or it just folds out of the way. So it's really just all your aftermarket stuff that you put in thinking it was tidy, and now you realise it's a fucking nightmare because you can't extend the wires, so you have to chop them all. There we go, I've pulled the matrix. Well, I took the whole heating housing out, to be honest. Slid the mirror matrix right out of there, with the wet cruddy mess underneath. Ideal. Right, got a new heater matrix here to shove in tonight. It took about a week to turn up. I don't know what was going on with the post service this week. So we'll get that one put back in the heater thing. Sorry, I can't be asked to walk down there. And see about getting it back in the car. What fun. Right, got my new heater box in there now, with obviously the new matrix installed. Have a bit of a clear up here and get this dash put back where it belongs. Right, time to sort out some wiring. Right, I'm going to try and get the engine in the car for the first time tonight. Basically get it mounted up on the bottom and the gearbox mount, so that I can see about sorting out a top engine mount, as it's not plug and play. I'm either going to modify the standard one or just make something out of some steel, whichever's easiest basically. So yeah, we'll get that craned in now and we'll go from there. Right, got the engine in on the mounts there now. Got it temporarily bodged in with a HDI top engine mount with one bolt in. So that's pretty much how the engine's going to sit. Plenty of room down there for manifold. Clears the master cylinder like a dream. Right, just in the process of boring out a hole in the injector pump. I'm just about to tap it out now. Basically it's for the internal pressure gauge. It takes a reading of the pump pressure inside the pump body, so I can monitor it. Mainly for tuning really, and seeing if you've got problems, etc. So I'll tap that hole out now. Then my handy dandy fitting which I've got screws in there, and then you can just unbolt and bolt the banjo fitting when it's in the car. And it's just a bit here just stays in the pump full time then.
Right, we're coming up to it now. Bloody Peugeot. See if they can give me the right parts this time, see what they got to say for themselves. Here we are. Right, see what they say in a minute. Wow, what a fucking waste of time that was. Their website tells you that they're open all day Saturday. You go to the pissing door and they're shut. Well, pissed me off now, that has. Even fucking more.
Okay, just pulling the motor out of the car now to sort out the cambo, put the injector pump, injectors, etc. on. Torque down the rest of the bolts that aren't done, and then I'll probably be putting it back in for a first start, possibly. Right guys, I've just got the engine out again now. Just going to basically be fitting up the final pump that I'm going to be running on this motor, which I've built, and it's taken ages. It's been a nightmare. Bits kept going missing. It's basically because it's just been going on the bench for so long, and other people have been using the bench and things, and well, mainly me, to be honest. But it's done now, it's on. Just putting the cam belt on. Something I thought I'd point out for anyone else who might be doing things with pumps on engines. If you've moved the centre position of any of the items on the cam belt, obviously you've changed the spacing between, and obviously factory, when everything locks off, it's designed in such a way that the teeth meet exactly so that you don't end up with slot between the pulleys. Obviously if they meet like by half a tooth and you've got slot between pulleys, or you're having to pull it ridiculously tight and strain everything, then obviously the timing is going to work out wrong, which is not going to be very good. So the way you kind of fix that is on pulleys, well, when you've got slop on the pulley, you can lock your cam, release your pulley, a bit like on a GTO6. Basically, a lot of petrols have this. Put your belt on, everything's locked centrally, but your pulleys can float. So you want to tension your belt, and then once your belt's on, torque these back in again. That way you've kept your time in and your belt's tight and even all the way around. A little bit tricky on the pumps if you don't have a thingy pulley, but you can also get around that another sort of more rare way, but we'll sort that out in a minute. Right, we've got the final pump mounted now. I've just been working on, well, I've got the injectors in as well. Talk about OEM, I'm quite impressed with that. And I've just been bending injector lines basically, because obviously there's no such thing as a set of 16 valve HDI mechanical injector lines. So that's pretty much my final route there. It's not perfect, it doesn't look very good, but it's practical and it should work, so that's pretty much that. Got the cam belt and everything back on as well. Just looking into remounting the Supercharger. Got, as normal, lots of technical issues due to the fact that the bolt holes in the block are all completely different. So I've got a bracket off a 110 HDI. I've grinded there's a big bracket thing that comes up here for the power steering, so I've cut all that off. I'm going to weld up plates now to sit between that and the block to bring it out to the correct place. Got to make up a new Supercharger bracket to go on this side, because obviously all the place bolts are different, because this is a different holder. The right hand one, it fits pretty much. I'm just going to have to make either a new bracket down the bottom or just drill new holes and weld the current one back on. Make up a plate behind the Supercharger, because last time it actually broke a lug off the charger, so I want to make a full sized plate holding the brackets together, which the Supercharger then bolts to, which puts a strain on the bracket rather than the Supercharger itself, because that's only alley casting. So it's a bit of a ball ache basically, that we'll get there in the end.